Now, the other thing that I want to give you all an update on is in regards to chargebacks on this channel. All right. I mentioned this last week because it hit me pretty hard last week. Right in the middle of last week, I received over $200 of PayPal chargebacks for tips from back in April. Okay. This sucks because when chargebacks happen, you half the time cannot really do anything about it. It depends on so many different factors. The nature of the chargeback, the size of the charge, how the actual tip was given, like what financial institution was involved, the nature of the chargeback, because there's different ways things can be charged back. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it because you guys don't need to know that at all. And quite frankly, the less publicly known, the better, because you don't want idiot trolls out there to try to figure out ways to do it, right?
I don't understand the need to go on this paragraph-long rant and then conclude the wine fest with, because you guys don't need to know. I'm going to be that guy and say if we didn't need to know it, then you shouldn't have said it. Know what else we didn't need to know? Whether Panda Lee was Asian or not. We didn't need to know about your childish collection of statues either. We didn't need to know how inept you are as a grown man in a kitchen. There's a lot of things that we didn't need to know that he would have been better off not sharing. However, here we are, over a decade later, and this guy still has not learned the adult skill of shutting the fuck up. Also, how many streamers who are worth half a damn, so obviously not Phil, have these public shareholder meetings to discuss business finances? None that I've ever seen in my limited capacity. It's like he thinks it'll forge public trust to make the numbers known, but can't be honest enough to actually disclose any numbers. Dude is even debunking his bankruptcy filing, but still says everyone's reason for disliking me is invalid. Make that make sense.
But basically, it hit the channel hard last week. It sucked. But you guys rallied, and I had a solid last few days of streaming last week. And overall, I can tell you, it hasn't been that bad.
I really dislike when DSP pulls shit like this, when he references chargebacks and things going on behind the scenes, because you just know he's never going to produce any evidence and he expects us to just take his word for it. Yeah, I mean, chargebacks can happen. It's not even difficult, so I don't know why even DSP doesn't want to talk about how to do them. But while we can track his tips faithfully, or at the very least Piece of Pieces tracker can track them pretty well, there's really no way to tell if these chargebacks are actually legit. Once again, Phil being quite probably dishonest just to gain sympathy, which goes in line with one of his most recent narratives that he's pushing, where he says that these chargebacks are, you know what? We'll get there eventually, so just keep listening.
Not so fast, Lex Mechanic. To be objective about this, Phil is actually correct when he says Pop's tracker is not accurate. Whether these chargebacks are happening or not, whether there are or are not chargebacks in general, we don't know that because Phil won't show any receipts. The bigger question is, what is wrong with the people who hear this, who see this, who have no reason to believe it, still giving him not only the benefit of the doubt, but also their fucking money? Also, let's put this synopsis in Phil's terms. You guys saw I was being brutally attacked by the entire interwebs, whom I refer to as trolls, and tried getting their money back. As you guys know, I am permanently broke and live day to day off my totally legit curated content paycheck. I'm happy that you all suddenly gave me money. By the way, I need more.
I need that money. I really do. I need that money to pay my bills, the electric bill, the internet bill. Hopefully, it won't impact the channel that badly at all. But now, just so you guys know, I've gotten wind from somebody else who has been kind of monitoring the situation that, of course, my detractors are so stupid, they can't just do something without publicly talking about it, because that would be, like, smart. You understand? They always have to brag about what they're doing to hurt me, even if it's an outright crime. Now, don't worry, they'll never get prosecuted for it because they're anonymous on the internet, which is the only reason why they do this shit. They're pussies, okay?
At least pussies have the decency to look presentable in front of a camera. Meanwhile, DSP's labia that he calls cheeks are falling off his fucking face like a deranged stroke victim.
I really don't think commenting on our own channels about what we think about you and the things you do counts as doing something to you and publicly bragging about it. And while some detractors might take things too far, such as the doxers, swatters, or harassers, among others, the most popular detractors don't even do anything directly to DSP other than comment on his things and make funny montages of his gaming antics. I'd say the most serious actual threats to DSP would be the people who deep dive and basically investigate the shit out of his life just for accountability purposes, which is when Phil's most awful and nasty shit often comes to light. And in these cases, nothing happens and it still doesn't matter. How can you be so delusional and have such lack of self-awareness that you point fingers at others for doing nasty shit to you while you're also doing it to others?
I think the answer is pretty obvious. DSP has a superpower called being a fucking moron. I said it before and I'll say it again. This guy's age starts with a 4 and he's still lacking a sense of self-awareness, but also blaming an entire demographic for all of his issues instead of taking responsibility for it. You know, after a certain point, you think a person would take a step back and ask, am I the issue? However, DSP hasn't reached that point in 16 years and he likely never will. If this ain't a superpower, I don't know what is.
And don't you just love it how he chalks it up to anonymity why people do this to him without consequences? I mean, come on, man. We know the first pussy here is DSP. And don't make me post a clip where he was intimidated into submission ages ago during his FGC years for being a bully who couldn't really put his money where his mouth was. And I know his defense to this would be that this clip would be taken out of context and that was old Phil. But when has he ever interacted with another human being on screen, excluding his wife, since those times?
Never, because DSP is afraid. People have tried to get in contact with DSP, but they don't have enough of a persona that DSP can verify to even accept it. The only reason he ever met with Mike Klum is because that guy has an established rapport online. In fact, in addition to the required rapport, you also have to pass his arbitrary definition of not being a troll. I think we all have a rough idea of what a troll is without applying bias. However, DSP's idea of a troll seems to be anyone who doesn't agree with me or someone I don't like. I don't think it needs to be explained, but to even be a part of DSP's community, you need to adopt what seems like a hive mind or cult-like personality. You have to accept whatever DSP says. If you question it, then you've been listening to detractor videos and you need to be banned. Even longtime DSP fans who've given him money over the course of years can be instantly tossed out if they question it. Where did the King Tut money go? To bills. Stupid. Which bills? Get that ass banned. You don't need to know what I spend the money on, you just need to know that I need the money. He's developed such a me versus the world mentality that he is the architect of literally all of his issues. And that's just sad.
But, yeah, they brag about it and talk about it all the time. They're just so dumb, all right? In this case, the reason I'm bringing it up is because they are actually planning more chargebacks, and they are actively trying to hurt this channel by making it look like it's doing better than it is. So allow me to explain, okay?
I haven't even watched this clip in its entirety. I'm transcribing and scripting as I go, and I can already guess what his explanation here is going to be about. If I were a betting man, you know, like DSP, I would put all my money on how he's going to say that since detractors are giving him money, it's going to make it look like he already met his tips goals, and so dents who actually want to contribute will be turned off by it and save their tips for another occasion. And while I can see the logic behind this statement, it's just all kinds of fucked up because this argument comes from the basis that DSP is someone who needs to be helped 24/7, that there won't ever be a time where he won't need any help at all. But you want to know what the worst part is? The worst part is that he gives off this vibe of despair that's so strong that he opens himself up for these attacks and provocations against this person. Because who the fuck would troll someone by giving them money and then going through the hassle of charging it back and going through the possible risk of the chargeback not going through and losing your money like the regarded little LARPer that they are?
This is such a weird thing for him to talk about for two reasons. First, he stated several times that these people are so dumb that they're openly talking about it and so on and so forth. Why not just, make a Twitter post with a screenshot of a detractor talking about the ops that they're plotting against you? I don't know. That would be far more concise, damning, and leave less room for speculation. As it stands, nothing DSP says carries any credibility because he himself destroyed whatever credibility he ever could have had. Secondly, as Lex Mechanic Wirch just pointed out, this kinda just makes him look bad. If I wanted to give money to a content creator, assuming I had to suffer traumatic head injury in a car wreck, I'd give it to them whether they hit their tips goal or not. Getting $100 on Monday and $50 on Tuesday is no different than getting $75 on both days. The end result is the same, so why does his tips goal matter when he constantly says no one is coming here and giving him money just for a vest or a hat or whatever? Apparently things matter until they conveniently no longer need to matter. This narrative is unironically worse than Disney or MCU.
You may have noticed this last week already, we're 3 days into the streaming week, correct? You may have noticed that in the last few days, I've hit a bunch of tips goals.
No, no. At least according to Piece of Pieces tracker, it's been around 20 days to the current day since DSP has met his full tips goals, and that's at the time of recording this. Now, he might be referring to any goal, as in the $50 or $100 goals, but still, it's a far cry from his early 2020s where he would frequently go for months at a time where he met his $200 goals on most days. In this case, excluding these phantom chargebacks he's talking about here, the last time he met a tips goal was on the 16th of April, where he played Harold Halibut in the morning stream in Street Fighter 6 for Friday night fights. On that stream, he made $158 in the morning and $240 in the evening streams, which is a fairly sizable haul for our resident WWE Champion's whale here. I know I didn't let him finish his point here, but I just want to keep the pignosis to a minimum, just to keep the facts straight.
I want to know how many people on a Dr. Disrespect stream are there tracking how much money he's getting. I know he has detractors and whatnot, but DSP is talking to his fans. How many, unironic, actual Dr. Disrespect fans are there tracking his income? I'm willing to bet it's less than DSP's average view count.
All right, now I'm not saying that that's abnormal or anything. Sometimes I hit tips goals around here. But I'll be honest, yes, yesterday, as I'm doing my React streaming day, which is the thing that I'm going to update you all on because it went pretty well, I'm wondering how it's going to go. And then all of a sudden, I start getting tips during the streams, some of which are people I recognize, some of which are people who are kind of newcomers from the last few weeks, but they've been a good part of the streams. And then I start getting tips that are completely anonymous. No name attached, no message attached, nothing. And a tip comes in like that and you don't know what to do. I mean, I'm not going to discredit it. I'm going to shout it out and say thank you. But you never know if those are legit or not.
I can't imagine what it must be like to not only be a streamer, but to also be a streamer who has to scrutinize every single tip you receive on stream. Imagine that you're paying your bills from sitting on your ass in a spare bedroom in your house, yelling into a camera, and you need to pull up PayPal and verify every tip as it comes in as the greasy sweat drops from your pores. Call me crazy, but this sounds like a decade of failure.
Super hot fire. I spit that.
Sometimes they're completely legit. It's just a viewer who wants to contribute but doesn't want to shout out because they're afraid of harassment on the internet or getting doxxed, and they're like, I'm just going to do it anonymously. Perfectly fine, and I totally understand that, and I really appreciate that because that helps things a lot and it keeps you safe. But at the same time, you have to be skeptical, right? When you're getting those kind of contributions and you're like, I don't know if this is going to be real or not. You know, you count it, you shout it out, you say thanks, but you never know what's going to happen with the chargeback.
I let this one go on for a while just to give you a picture of this man's life and major hurdles he has to go through on a daily basis. When it comes to giving commentary on DSP content, it's easy to become immersed in the Snortex. Shit that this guy does suddenly stops being too out of the ordinary and becomes normal in your perspective, so it sometimes helps to step back and get a fresh view on things. This is a guy whose top problem at this moment, aside from the ever-present torment from his detractors, are chargebacks. Imagine growing your infamy to such a level that people just give you money and take it back all the time just to mess with you. It's difficult to content on this because it borders on victim shaming, because in reality DSP can seem like a victim at times, but it's precisely our exposure to the Snortex that gives us all the context we need to know that this shit is essentially self-inflicted. I mean, sure, you're not directly hurting yourself with the things you say or do, but the seeds DSP has sown in the past 16 years have been sprouting and growing for quite a while. And this is just him harvesting the rotten fruits of his shitty attitude yet again.
Well, if you just aren't the most adorable fucking tech priest I've ever laid eyes on. I think Lex Mechanic Works just hit the nail right on the head. Any rational person would take a step back to analyze this situation. These people are doing a thing to me. Why? Because they don't like me. Why? Because they see me as a bad person. Even if you don't think you're a bad person, that's because you inherently apply bias to yourself. Personally, I find the best solution to this to be asking an unaffiliated third party what their opinion is and reasoning from there. I highly doubt DSP has the self-awareness to do this, but even if he did, he has no unaffiliated third party. He has Cat, and 75 OIC socks. At least Ryan will help keep his feet warm in the Snortfort.
Also, what is this about accepting anonymous tips with no info attached? I thought DSP started automatically refunding tips that are from unverified sources years ago, just to avoid shit like this. I know it started out by people spoofing Muxy and doing fake tips, which prompted Phil to start outright refusing tips from sketchy sources just to be safe. So why are we again talking about accepting and even shouting out tips from people he doesn't recognize or has verified himself as being legit contributors?
Because his fans have the memory of a goldfish. The funny part is even that puts DSP to shame. This guy will legit read quest text that tells him exactly what to do and forget as soon as he starts a quest. What's even better is that he'll also forget the quest ad text that he can read again and instead call the game a piece of shit. And ban us. Again. Wonderful.
So basically what's happening is this. If you haven't noticed the last few days, there's been a few days when I'm hitting either the $50 or $100 tips goals. And even to some extent, the other day I had the vest on and everything. It was like crazy over the top levels of support, right? So what's happening is these morons are now publicly saying they did this on purpose. They're coming to various streams and dropping a $20 tip here, a $30 tip here. Someone even said they did a $50 tip. And it's all anonymous, and they're planning on charging it back later. Now you might say, well, I don't get it. Why would they even bother doing that? All it does is it makes it look like you're doing better and you get perks and everyone's happy. Well, here's what they're doing. They do it on purpose because when it looks like I'm doing good on a stream, other people who are legit supporters might say, oh, okay, Phil's doing all right today, so I don't need to really contribute today. I'll come back later in the week and see if it's a slower stream, and I'll help him out there. In fact, no exaggeration, a fan actually wrote me an email and said that's exactly what happened this week. There was a stream where they were coming by and they actually liked the stream and they wanted to support, but they saw that I had already hit all the tip skulls. They said, all right, I'll hold off. I'll come back later in the week.
God, bro, what the fuck?
Calm down, Engine's here. This would be one of those cases where it would be a home run if DSP presented evidence of these claims and these statements. I don't doubt there are dents who would do this and comment publicly about it or even send an email to DSP about it. But in my eyes, this isn't about the things detractors do, but about DSP's credibility. Because he would gladly go on these rants day in, day out, and again, expecting everyone to take his word for it. Regarding the actual chargebacks, I can understand if he refuses to show evidence for whatever reason, but what reason could he possibly have to not show screenshots or other proof of what these people are saying? You don't even need an account to browse that one fruit farming forum, so I really don't get why DSP doesn't show proof to back his claims, aside from his general laziness. Either that, or he's trying yet again to pull another narrative out of his ass just to set up another arc to beg for money.
I said it in our last video, shout out to us, but this is yet another thing DSP has said multiple times. He said it in passing and put these words in another anonymous behind the scenes silent majority fan's mouth. The major issue here is, again, this is just how DSP speaks. I can understand if he's paraphrasing, but even when he's allegedly reading word for word, it still sounds like DSP.
And regarding this absolute moron of a dent that supposedly contacted DSP to tell him he wanted a tip but didn't, I just can't. I really can't understand, because I sometimes try to give DSP the benefit of the doubt for these videos and try to comment from an unbiased perspective, but shit like this is what really rustles my jimmies. First off, who the fuck actually emails their favorite streamer? I get that DSP has been pushing his email as the only way to contact him, which makes sense considering his Twitter is basically on lockdown except to the people that DSP actually follows. But come on, man. Who actually takes the time to write to them? Not for fan mail, not for sharing news or anything interesting, but to tell them, hey, I wanted to come and contribute to your stream, but thought you were doing fine, so I didn't contribute. Who says that? I mean, who in reality says something like that? Who really takes time out of their day to type out those words and send them to someone via email instead of just not doing it and sending the money whenever the fuck they want to send it? I'm having a meltdown here because this isn't human behavior, and it just screams to me that DSP is just lying again, because this shit doesn't happen. Does it? I mean, please leave a comment if you're here listening to this video and have any sort of insight, because I'm drawing blanks at this point, at least when it comes to trying to understand DSP's deceptive nature this time around.
I actually went through the effort of asking various people about this. People we've played games with, people who have never touched games, and some who play with their kids and are ignorant of internet culture. The overwhelming consensus was, people don't work like that. If I wanted to support my favorite content creator, I'd support them because I like them. Something similar to, hey, your videos are great, here's $5 or whatever. What I wouldn't do is say, oh look, this homeless person has raised enough money for a Big Mac. Guess I'll hold off until tomorrow's commute. And you know why? Because they're gonna get the money anyway. I said it earlier in this video. $100 on Monday and $50 on Tuesday is the same as $75 on both days. The end result is the fucking same.
And just one last thing to add here, a bit of advice, if you will. If your problems are coming from the fact that people can see that your stream is going well and don't contribute because of it, maybe remove the tips total and goals. If they enjoy your content, they're going to want to support it, right? The vests, the glasses, the bubbles, and all these things are just silly stuff we do for fun, and not because it's a vital part of your stream, right? Are you willing to put your money where your meaningful, robust content is and stream without tips, goals, or trackers just to see if your fans actually support your content? Chargebacks will stop being as important if people can't see how much money they're actually adding to the tips total, after all.
Just to add to this note, for people watching, can you let us know how many other streamers have both a tips goal and a tracker and do stupid shit like putting on clothes and blowing bubbles? I can browse Twitch, but I can't find many examples. And by I can't find many, I mean I found fucking none.
And then come to find out, these detractor idiots are bragging publicly, oh yeah, I tipped on that stream, and I'm going to just charge him back later in the week. So he would have gotten more, but we screw him over now. You see? So that's what they're doing. They're basically trying to make it look like I'm doing better than I am. So that way, people are fooled, and then they hit me on the back end. All right?
They're hitting him on the back end.
If they're openly doing it, then show a fucking screenshot. I don't put it past the stupidity of the average person to openly announce things like this, but again, Phil's words are automatically untrustworthy. Also, nice, they're publicly hitting him on the back end. Nice.
Why am I telling you this? Because I just want you to be aware that it's happening.
Okay, but riddle me this, fat man. Why do I need to be aware of this?
When it comes to understanding the meaning behind some actions or events, and the variables are too many to actually come up with a conclusive explanation, we can apply the principle of Occam's razor to try and find a straightforward answer to some of these questions. For those who are unaware, Occam's razor is a principle in theory construction that says that the explanation that requires the least assumptions is the most likely to be true. In applying this principle to DSP's antics, what's more likely? On the one hand, a group of highly coordinated internet trolls getting together to form a massive campaign to not directly harm a content creator, but to deceive the content creator's legit viewers into not giving the creator support in the form of monetary contributions. On the other hand, DSP is just setting this up so that even if he makes enough money and makes tips goals, to goad his actual dents into still giving him more money on top of the aforementioned tips goals. I don't know, man. You tell me.
I will tell you. It sounds like you're a fucking heretic. Except, instead of the Emperor of Mankind, we have a fat, greasy warthog sitting atop the golden throne, snorting viciously into the immaterium to project the Fapsternomicon, while his elite troops of Jin Stardies roam the cosmos, smiting detractor worlds. I may have a cogitator loose. 1 second, please.
And this just continues to boggle my mind because, to me, a well-adjusted person that's fairly in touch with reality, you don't need to go through these hoops to shit on DSP. This channel and all the other detractor channels are proof of that. We just need to sit and watch DSP for a few minutes and just let him hang himself. I've said it before on past videos and I'm saying it again now. DSP does not need any convoluted schemes to trick him into letting down his guard and revealing his true self. He pretty much puts it on display for the world to see on a daily basis. This man is just so out of touch with reality that he can't see it. He's lost sight of himself. He doesn't have enough self-awareness and hasn't touched grass in so long that he doesn't remember how actual people act. He gets all his news from Twitter, he plays video games all day long, he only interacts with his fans via text box on his streams, and he only talks in real life with his wife and his pet cat. Oh, well, and maybe that cashiers at any of the businesses he shops at, I guess.
I'm not asking for anything. I'm not asking for any change in behavior from you whatsoever. I just want you to know that this is going on actively and that when you see things going on YouTube, it's not always as it appears. You know, a lot of these people say, oh, I track every single dollar that comes in from a content creator, and so I know that they make this and this and this. It's totally untrue.
Error 404, data not found. This is the same as his debunk streams, where his method of debunking is literally saying that's not true. If it's not true, then provide evidence to support your claim. Oh wait, we don't need to know those numbers? Then shut the fuck up about those numbers. Omnissiah have mercy, it's so infuriating when he's constantly flip-flopping what does and does not matter for the next few minutes.
I feel like we mention Adam from Side Scrollers a lot, and that's because we actually do. But that's just because I think he summed up DSP's real problems quite nicely. So I'm going to reference his decompression rant again here. In that clip, fuck it, just let me play the damn thing.
You said yesterday the bankruptcy saved you. Like everything was going to be good from now on. Twitch was paying you well, and these fucking assholes ruined your shit on Twitch because you say racist shit. And it's like, all right, you do. Like, all right, make those fucking jokes. But don't be surprised when you get booted off the platform who are very clearly in the woke, man. Twitch is, I don't like Twitch. I don't like that they fucked over the partner program. It's not even worth being a partner anymore. And they have the freaking a deer on their freaking head of their, I don't know what the hell it's called. Like who gets to be on? Like I think it's a they. No, it's a deer. It's a deer self. I don't know what the fuck they identify as. Shit is crazy. But that's who's working at Twitch now. So what are you surprised that your whole Twitch career just got flopped because some people called you out for making some racist jokes? Fine, make some racist jokes. Do it. Be you. Don't fucking try to act like you've changed. Own who you are. Don't be a fucking bitch. Fucking be the person you want to be and fucking own it. Find a platform that's going to allow you to be that person. All right. I gave you 2 great ideas for a show, right? This is how you don't game. Use it to your advantage. Own who you are. All right. Put that fucking box of tissues behind you because you did wank on screen. All right. Fucking own it. You're never going to catch me fucking pulling my dick out live because I'm not a fucking idiot. All right. You made the mistake. You were an idiot. Own it.
See, if you have detractors like Piece of Peace keeping an exhaustive record of your tips on a daily basis, then instead of just saying that's not true, why don't you just own this criticism and keep your own chargeback records and make it public for everyone to see? I assume these chargebacks come in the form of emails or notifications, which he could easily blur the important information out of, and still keep a transparent record of these alleged chargebacks, just to start building some good faith and credibility. Because again, we have to take DSP's word every time he says something, because this man is just allergic to producing evidence to support his bullshit. Also, why are you even sharing this with your viewers if you don't expect any different behavior from them? Come on, man, who are you trying to fool here? This is shit that I would expect from a woman whenever they want something. They go on long tirades tangentially related to what they actually want to ask of you, and after a ridiculously long rant, they just sit there staring at you as if expecting you to budge or do something about it. I mean, It's a Gundam said it best.
Good lord. Like, I want to I don't hate DSP at all. I find DSP funny. I find his foibles through life humorous because it's a guy who literally f***s himself over. If DSP was an attractive chick, his life would be so much easier because only an attractive woman could do dumb shit like this and walk. Alenity.
Shout out to the Big Daddy once again.
There's always a behind the scenes world of chargebacks, fees, all kinds of stuff going on. Half the time, anyone who's tipping me less than, say, $5, I'm getting significantly less than what you're even seeing. Remember that PayPal has a flat fee that they take per transaction plus a percentile of each transaction. If you tip me $1, I get like 60 cents, if that. It depends on where you're from, what region. So there's all these factors involved. And then I do get chargebacks all the time. I really do. I just don't talk about them publicly. But the reason I brought it up last week is because it's very abnormal to be getting that much of a hit of a chargeback all at once. And yeah, that definitely hurts the channel when it happens, okay?
This man just said there's a behind the scenes world and went on to mention chargebacks and fees and then immediately went blank. Also, I know we're pretty late into the video, but there's something that has been bothering me all this time. What happened to the DSP that screamed at the camera calling his detractors morons and that they can charge back all the tips that they want because DSP wins every single chargeback claim? And once again, let me just reiterate the sheer regardedness of being a content creator and facing this problem. These people are giving DSP money and charging it back just to mess with him. You have to be a real piece of shit to warrant people messing with you in this manner. In other words, you probably have to be a DarkSydePhil.
DSP's claims are like a servo skull made of shit. It doesn't do anything, it's constantly hovering around, and it stinks. I went to PayPal to check what their fees are. This may be a bit long, but just stick with me on this. What I'm trying to show you is that DSP is not losing as much money as he says he is. So, in the past, DSP has commented that PayPal takes a flat 30% cut of whatever you send him. He went on this rant when yelling at his fans to stop sending 5 $1 tips and just send a single $5 tip. Obviously, DSP failed at math since a 30% cut off 5 $1 tips is the same as a 30% cut off a $5 tip. Regardless of that, I'm going to assume DSP is regarded as a merchant since this is a business account that he's using. A payment type from a standard credit or debit card carries a 2.99% cut with a fixed fee. The fixed fee depends on the currency type being received. For USD, that amounts to 49 cents. Mind you, this only applies to standard rate for receiving domestic transactions. With this alone, DSP is wrong. For every $1 tip he receives, he's only getting about 48 cents from that. Now, to be fair about this, there is another section on the page specifically for donations. From my understanding, super chats are not donations. However, the difference is really not much. 2.89% cut with the same fixed fee. Now, here's the fun part. We know DSP is a massive fucking moron and will likely withdraw the money from his PayPal on a daily basis. Doesn't that carry a fee? Well, no, not when you're doing a standard withdrawal from a PayPal account linked to a bank account. The issue is, the instant withdrawal has a fee of 1.5%. I know this is all a lot of math, but I want to make it clear that DSP is not losing as much as he says he is. So let's take a look at last week from Pop's tracker, 426 to 5-1. Out of those 6 days, DSP did not hit a single goal. His AM stream total was $423. When you remove the top tippers from those streams, the total drops to $253. The lowest top tip was on 428 at a whopping $5. The median seems to be around 20 to 30, so let's average that out at about 25. This gives us 10 tips with a $3 remainder. So applying the established percentage fee with the flat fee and assuming all of the tips were in USD, after fees and cuts, DSP made a grand total of $402.02, meaning he paid almost 21 bucks in fees. If he withdraws instantly, he'd be eating another 4 bucks in tips. What a fucking loss. Sorry for the math, but I am an engine seer, and this is kind of what I do.
So, FYI, don't make judgments just based on what you see up front, because it may not be true, you know? Just saying, you know. And listen, to the person who wrote me that email, I really appreciate that message because now I know what's going on. And absolutely now I kind of understand the nature of what's happening and why they're probably doing it. Well, hopefully talking about it like this and spreading awareness, at least we'll have some people, you know what's going on. And hey, if you come by and you like the content.
Nope. I'm cutting him off here. I'm not letting him finish this stupid fucking plug. And don't you just love it how he's literally just implying that his stents should just tip and continue tipping no matter if they reach the goal and all the rewards for the stream are redeemed? I mean, when does it end? What's the limit? If the tips, goals, and rewards are no longer what the viewers are striding for, when should they stop giving you money?
When he stops saying he's broke, so fucking never?
And with that thought, I wanted to end the video. Not much of a rant this time around. I know it's been some time since our last episode, but hey, sometimes life happens, right? I was too busy actually being depressed at what Sony is doing to the gaming industry in the past few weeks, but that's neither here nor there. Press buttons if you like the content and stay tuned for more. Feel free to leave us any ideas or comments, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.